Yeah, guys, we got our guests ready to go here, but before we get to that, I want to remind you all about Buckeye State Credit Union. If you haven't heard of them yet, meet your new financial partner. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local institution offering everything from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans with some of the lowest rates in Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland branch is in Shaker Heights, which is one of 5 locations across the state, making it super easy to find one that's near you. If you can't get to a branch, it's not a problem. They make it super easy with digital banking. What sets them apart? They make banking personal and convenient. At Buckeye, their focus is you. Their core values, connect, simply, adapt, guide everything that they do. They bring people together, cut through the clutter, and are innovative. To learn more, visit buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified.
All right, I'm excited about our next guest. Curtis Granderson was a great Major League Baseball player for 2 decades. And I was always frustrated because even though I'm in Cleveland, Curtis, I'm a Cubs fan. You know, I've been here 15 years, so, you know, I love the Guardians too. But I know you're a Chicago guy, and I always wanted you to play for the Cubs once you left the Tigers. I'm like, at some point, you got to get Curtis Granderson on the Cubs, and it never happened. Is that a bummer?
You know, it's crazy. I went undrafted by both Chicago teams. I was a free agent after 13. Neither team made an offer to me. I was a free agent after 17. Neither team made an offer to me. I was a free agent after 18. Neither team made an offer to me. I'm like, I live less than 10 minutes away from the White Sox with traffic. And from the Cubs, I'm about 20 minutes away
Yeah,
and didn't get a chance to. But they always say the grass isn't always greener,
that's true.
getting a chance to play at home. Some have done it, like Derrick Rose. Yeah, obviously, he was able to do it, but didn't get a chance to do it. And I think
Yeah.
it probably worked out for me. If I would have done it early in my career, it may not have had as long as what you've been able to put up on this screen right now,
Yeah.
just because the demand would have just been so high for me there. Because even when I would come in town for a 3-game set, I would
Yeah.
be exhausted leaving out of town.
I bet, like, how many, on average, when you would go to Chicago, like, how many tickets are you getting for people when you're there?
So keep in mind, remember, so when I first got called up in 2004, they didn't tax us, they didn't charge us on the tickets. So I took advantage of everything. As long as we had tickets available, I used them. So Dimitri Young, one of the guys that took me underneath his wings as I got called up,
Yeah.
and he said, "How many tickets you need?" And my first series there, I think I had about 65 to 75 each game. And I got my first major league hit in Chicago against the White Sox off Freddie Garcia, and
Wow.
we're losing 8-0. And all of a sudden, this one section at the White Sox Stadium starts going nuts, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" And I got to thank the White Sox. They put it up on the board and said, "Curtis Anderson from here, first major league hit." But it was a lot, even once I started paying taxes on them. So the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago can thank me because I definitely helped pad some pockets with all the tickets I was using over there.
You know, Curtis, I look at your longevity, 17 years in a game. You know, we look at the Guardians, and you know they got guys. They're struggling to find guys that can hit at shortstop, that can hit at second base. When you finally stuck, what was the key to you stringing together those years, and what made you stick? Because we got a lot of guys bouncing up and down. Minors here coming back. What was it for you that really got you in the groove of things to start putting together a long career?
I think what's fortunate is my 4 years with the Tigers, my 4 years with the Mets, that's my first 12 years of my career. On each of those teams, I had 40-year-old teammates. So when I was with the Tigers, I had a Kenny Rogers. I had with the Yankees, I had a Andy Pettit and a Mariano. With the Mets, I had a Bartolo Colon. And I'm not saying necessarily that 40-year-olds are the reason why it happens, but there is something to be able to talk to veteran players that have been through it that can show you how to do it. So a Carlos Santana, who's now 39 years old and still doing it at a great level, you see how the players just gravitate towards him over there with the Guardians, how they talk to him, how they respect him, how they say he's the hardest working player on the team. And those are the types of things that help me figure, okay, if I want to play for 10 plus years, I got to do what that guy's doing because what he's done has worked. And I think seeing it helps out, especially now when you look at some teams and the veteran is 30 and you go, okay, well, the veteran is 30. That's the oldest player on our team, but they only got 2 to 3 years of experience. They're still trying to figure out if they're going to make it. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to make it. Who do I go to if I got a problem over here? So you start seeing that unfold, and I think that's part of it. And you just start to look at how the teams right now with an average age of over 30, a majority of them are playing very well. And I think credit to because you just have some experience. And of course, this is a young person's game. I'm not saying that by any means, but I think you do need to have a balance and I think you do need to have a mix. And that was the keys for me, watching Gary Sheffield go out there and do his thing, watching Dimitri Young, watching Derek Jeter, watching Alex Rodriguez and how they prepared. I remember Andy Pettitte towards the end of his career, beginning of my years with the Yankees. He's in the cold tub. I was like, Andy, you're not pitching today. He goes, no, but I have to do all this to get myself ready for when I pitch 2 to 3 days. At this point, I'm just showing up. Where are the Reese's peanut butter cups? What time is batting practice? And let me go out there and do my thing. And I'm like, okay, I got to start taking care of myself and do the preventative stuff and do the prehab stuff so I'm not having to do the rehab stuff. And I think that's what helped me. I didn't have any major injuries over the course of my career, but watching those players do it and how they prepared helped me out.
Curtis, when you look at the Guardians-Yankees matchup tonight, I want to focus at least on the Guardians side to start. They made the ALCS last year, lost to the Yankees. They're off to a pretty good start this year, trailing the Tigers, but they've been competitive. Do you believe Cleveland can win, or any team really could win at the highest of high levels with an offense like Cleveland's that's not based in hitting a ton of home runs and it's more of a small ball approach?
You love to see homers and you love to see power. I think that's definitely the way the game has moved. But I think we also have to take in the realization that even if you look at the past, say, 10 years, the number of players that hit 40 home runs hasn't improved by a lot. Like you have a Judge in the mix, you have an Alonso, but they're going to be there. It's not like all of a sudden we have 10 or 15 players hitting 40. So if you drop to the next category, what about the 30 home run players? You still don't have just massive swing numbers. The one year it happened, I think, was in 2018, and some people said that the balls were juiced. But if you look at the rest of the years minus the COVID year, again, we just haven't had a big jump in there. So you need power, yes. But you also know that there's going to be players on your team that aren't power guys. They just need to get on base. They need to cause havoc. They need to do what they need to so they can be the pieces when your power does come in those situations. Case in point, look at last year's Detroit Tigers team, a team that didn't hit a lot of home runs, but was able to get into the playoffs, pitch well enough, put up enough damage when the time called for it, and make a run. So as long as you can continue to pitch, I think as they say, pitching and defense is key, and score enough runs. I think that's key. But right now, you look at the run differential for Cleveland; it's not the best. You know, it's in the reverse. So they definitely have to address a couple things there just to maintain. You're not going to outslug the Yankees. That's just the case of the point. You're not going to do that. But can we at least keep ourselves in the game? So if we do happen to hit that one long ball, it can be an important one. So that might be something they need to address as they get to the All-Star break and the trade deadline, especially if they still sit and hover where they are right now. One big bat could be a big lift for the entire team. It could be a veteran presence like we talked about earlier that can just show some of these players how to do some big things over there. That could be a key, but you don't necessarily have to overhaul everything. You just have to know what your identity is, continue to get on base, continue to cause havoc. You're going to hit some out of the ballpark, but when you do, you got to have some traffic out there.
Curtis, when you look at, a lot of fans here think because the Guardians don't get a lot of attention nationally, obviously, and with the game on TBS and tonight, of course, Curtis is part of the broadcast team, and fans think that Jose Ramirez is the most underrated player in Major League Baseball. I think he's gotten more. People in the game understand how good he is. But the fact that even though he's never won an MVP because of Judge or Ohtani or Trout, he's actually finished in the top 6 MVP voting more than any other player over the last 7 years, which is, I bet a lot of people wouldn't have guessed that. Where do you think he ranks in the great players in Major League Baseball?
Definitely think he's underrated. I mean, he's been 30-30 with the new stolen bases or with the new base rules and the big bases, and he was
Yeah.
30-30 before these rules. So
Yeah.
he has been that player that has been able to do everything you want in an ideal player. Can hit the ball out of the ballpark, does it on both sides, can steal bases and plays solid defense. He's as close to a 5 tool player as we have in the game. But I was victim of that as well, playing in Detroit. Like everyone's like, well, you guys aren't this until you beat the Yankees or until you beat the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But if he continues to keep doing the things that he has been showing up to this point, they have to bring the attention to him. And I think that's a Major League Baseball thing.
Yeah.
You have to highlight your stars of the game, your stars, no matter where they happen to be. And this is a good situation to be in right now. Bobby Witt Jr. in Kansas City, Jose Ramirez with Cleveland, Aaron Judge on one coast, Otani on another coast, and a bunch of other superstars in the middle. Like, here's your chance to go, especially with youth participation being at an all-time high. Kids love things that they can relate to. Like the number of kids I've spoken to recently, they go, I bet you can't guess what my favorite player is. I said, just tell me the team and I can think about it. And they go, oh, the San Diego Padres. I go, Tatis. How'd you know? I go, because I know how he looks and I know what you gravitate towards. So if kids feel this same way, they're going to feel the same way about the other superstars. If you put it in front of them, people will want to see it. Everybody wanted to be like Mike, even in Cleveland, because we saw him on the Gatorade commercials. We saw him in the Nike commercials. We saw all this stuff. He didn't play for Cleveland, but how could you not be a fan of him because you saw him all the time? And I think that's what MLB could do a better job of saying, this is a player who's been, like you said, top categories in MVP, multi-year all-star, is doing everything that you've changed the game to get to. He's already been doing it. Put him out there. And this whole thing about, well, they don't speak well, or English is a second language, or they don't want to do stuff on a camera. With 162 regular season games, we can't find enough footage and enough B-roll and have him read maybe one line to put enough information out there on social or on commercials or ads or billboards. I think this is an area where we could really start to maximize not only him, but other superstars in this game, because it is more than just the Yankees and the Dodgers. There are some great teams and some great players in this game.
Now that you mentioned, I had a different question, but now that you mentioned it, I go back to the era where I grew up. I was in high school during the '90s, and I just remember during that time period there was large stars. Like I'm asking what happened. Like we had Griffey and we had Frank McGriff and Gary Sheffield, and you had Frank Thomas, and you had
Sosa,
McGuire. You had Canseco. You had them all over the place. What happened where I used to wake up with Sports Center and look for the top 10 because I wanted to see who hit home runs. I wanted to see who was doing it. And what happened between that era and then the transition of the Tomorrow Stars, where it was in front of mine. Even Ken Griffey Jr. sold sneakers. I was
baseball
coolest
player
baseball
ever.
player.
Yeah.
I was aware of it. Where did we go, and how did we get back some of that?
I swung a black baseball bat because of Ken Griffey Jr. I have no idea if there was a reason why he did it, but he did it. It looked cool. I'm gonna do it, and that's why I swung a black baseball bat. And to your point, like during that time frame, it was front and center. You had national games on WGN, so you saw the Cubs. You had national games with TBS, so you saw the Braves. I was a
Yep.
big Braves fan in the '90s. You had games of the week all the time. It may not have been your team, but you got the chance to see the players, and you had those great shows that highlighted the top 10 plays of not only the day, but the week, of the month. You had the errors, you had the bloopers, you had all that good stuff. And I think you also have to give credit where credit's due. I think the NFL and the NBA said, okay, we want in on some of this action. We're going to highlight our players, especially because you can't see the football players with their mask on. So we're going to make sure you know the Peyton Mannings. We're going to make sure that you know the Calvin Johnsons and the Adrian Petersons as that time frame was coming in. I think that's what's helped propel it to the level that it's at right now. So there has to be a mix of kind of going back and forth and saying, okay, we have these names. We just have to push them back out there like the NBA is doing, like the NFL is doing, like we used to do, and hope that and remember that it's not a situation where we're the only game in town now. UFC is as popular as ever. MLS is popular, now in the States now. You have all these other things that weren't necessarily competing in that category in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s as they do now. And I think change is a good thing, and it's okay to change, but still keep a lot of your core identity, but still grow with what is out there. If a kid is going to constantly be on this thing, well, I need to make sure that the game is on that thing too. I need to make sure that they can interact with it. I need to make sure they can do it. I don't want to say, well, they play too many video games. We got to get them outside and do this. Well, they play video games. I played video games too, and King Griffey Junior Baseball was one of my favorite games. So if you put it out there, there's going to be things. RBI Baseball, the show, like if you put it out there, that's what the kids are doing, and the kids are going to be your next generation of fans. So go to where they're at and start to continue to promote that. I think that'll help us get back to where those superstars are. And what's crazy about it, if you think about it, look up the top 20 contracts in all of sports, total value. It's like 13 to 14 of them are all baseball contracts. So we have Soto and Ohtani, the two biggest contracts in all of sports. And I bet if you walk around and ask them certain people, you might have a lot of people have no idea who Juan Soto is. And then you follow through, you got Lindor, you got Tatis, you got Aaron Judge, you got Mike Trout. And big by a long shot, 300 million, 400 million, 500 million, 700 million dollars. As a kid, isn't that what you want to do? You want to have money when you grow up. Everybody wants a big house and they want to take care of their family. And a lot of the reasons why kids play sports is because of the things that they know comes with it. Well, that's a great thing to have come with it, but again, we got to put it out there. And so this could be a product of what you do if you can make it. But again, a lot of people look at the other things and go, well, that seems to look cooler over there, so I'm going to go and do that, and I want to be a part of that.
Curtis, I mean, you couldn't be more on the money with that. I mean, you're 100% on it. And the unfortunate thing is there's so many players on almost every team that fit the bill. Like, you look at, obviously, PCA creating a huge edge, with the Cubs, huge buzz there. Paul Skeens in Pittsburgh, James Wood in Washington, Ellie De La Cruz in Cincinnati. These are all young players that I feel like if it were the 90s would be bigger names. Now, I think maybe it's on the upswing a little bit finally because there are so many really good young players. But these guys should be bigger national stars because not only are they good players, they got some personality. Ellie De La Cruz, PCA, Paul Skeens, to some degree. I don't know Wood as well, but those three guys, there's personality there. And the baseball's got to take advantage of it and get these guys on the stage more.
I talked to people in the marketing space and I asked them questions. I said, what do you think that we miss on that? And they said, when you see some of these other sports, they lean into the other things that aren't just the baseball side of it. So they can relate. Oh, they like to travel. They like the food. They like music. They like this. But I look at like a CC Sabathia, for example. When CC was pitching and he had his Subway commercial, I remember there was a time where Subway told him that he couldn't have his sleeves showing because he had all the tattoos. He goes, but that's me. That's who I am. I want to do it. I know there was some back and forth. He got the commercial out there. So if you're a kid that's got tattoos, you can go, I like him. I don't know what position he plays. I don't know what team he plays for, but he's got tattoos. I got tattoos. I like him. PCA's got blue hair, right? You got some kids that want to dye their hair because of PCA. James Wood, although he may not be the most vocal, is a big individual. Big human beings are always popular. Andre the Giant, Manute Bol. Utilize and lean in on all that stuff. So there's a number of ways where there's characters and there's things that can be highlighted and showcased. But again, I just feel like there's some misses. Like, look at the camera showing the players coming off the bus, walking the tunnel. The tunnel's not very exciting, but we want to see what they're wearing. And now these players are wearing any and everything. The fit game, the fit isn't just necessarily for the on the field product because, you can't wear a baseball shoe to school, but you can wear what that person wore to the game. So when Lindor has his New Balances on and is coming in and has got the different color cutaways, kids go, I want that. I want to be a part of that. When Tatis has got the different Jordan, cutouts and all that stuff. So there's ways again where you don't necessarily have to make these players do different things, but if you put the camera in different spots where it's not normally, or you mic up here and mic up there, you can get a lot of the same things that's going on in some of these other sports that has made them very popular. Like, imitation is the best form of flattery. So there's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong, especially if it's working in those other sports. Try utilizing those things. And then notice we didn't say anything about the game. We didn't say change the type of bat they use or the different color ball or any of that stuff. We're just talking about highlighting the things that are already there that could easily be done.
Curtis, you hit 344 home runs in your career. You won a Silver Slugger. I want you to take us inside the mind of how you would have approached an at-bat against Emmanuel Clase. I know he hasn't been as dominant this year as he has in the past, but last year, one of the greatest statistical seasons we've ever seen from a closer. How would have you approached facing Clase if you guys crossed paths during your career?
I think the only thing that could have helped me during that time is we would have faced Cleveland 19 times if I was with Detroit. So hopefully I would have seen him more than once and got a little bit of notes that I can use to my advantage. I think that's what closers, especially power closers, do an amazing job of. You may only see them once this series, and it's only going to be hopefully for 3 batters, and you may not even be one of those 3 batters. So you're just on the side watching him destroy your teammates, and you go, okay, whenever I finally get a chance, I'm remembering all the negative that he just provided for me. So let me hopefully try to turn that around when it's my turn. But if you get more at bats and you start to get in a rhythm, that's how you start to get to him. And I think that's what may have happened a little bit in the postseason. They're out there for more pitches. They're out there for more innings. They're out there for more times through the lineup, and you're starting to get a few more notes that can help. But he's still one of obviously the best arms in this game. Velocity plays as although I love facing velocity, but there's still always going to be an advantage when you can light up the radar gun at 100. So I got to come out and be aggressive, especially if it's going to be in a closing situation. I can't let him get ahead, and hopefully he throws strikes, and I got to try my best not to miss one of them and get out there and try to match power with power. But it's definitely not an easy matchup, and I think also now that helps these closers. This is one thing I think that baseball has done a good job. Utilize these lights. Utilize the sound system. Back when they used to have the drum over there out there in left field banging on it, like all those different things just to kind of strike a little fear, a little intimidation, a little bit of pressure. That stuff works. Home field advantage is a thing in baseball if they lean into it. And I think Cleveland's always done a really good job of leaning into that. So utilize the technological advances that you have. Cut the lights, make it look this massive thing. That scoreboard has always been huge over there in left field. Utilize all that, because some players, that heart rate will start to go a little bit faster when they know it's their time to go up there and hit.
By the way, Curtis wiped out my Cubs in the 2015 playoffs with the Mets, and then you wiped them out in 2017 with the Dodgers. Curtis Granderson hit 3 home runs, and I believe over 1,000 OPS in the World Series against the Royals. And I'll tell you, obviously, I don't have to tell you, but they lost, of course. The way you dismantled the Cubs in the NLCS, they couldn't hit your pitchers at all. I thought you were going to. I thought you guys were going to wipe out the Royals. I had no thought you were going to lose that series. I still can't believe you guys lost that series. Were you shocked?
Yeah, I mean, baseball is this funny thing, I feel like every time I've got a chance to do it, like even my '06 World Series, we beat the Yankees in the first round. We sweep Oakland. We had even swept St. Louis earlier that season.
Yeah.
And then we come out, we couldn't hit, we couldn't pitch. We lose to St. Louis in that World Series. Here we are in 2015, some similarities where we end up beating the Cubs early, so we have a little time off, but I thought we were better positioned. We came out offensively better. We came out pitching a little bit better than that '06 team did. But that first game, I think, was the turning point. If we win game 1 of the World Series, which we were up, Alex Gordon hits a home run to take us in and they end up beating us in the extra innings. We lose game 2. I give that to Kansas City. But now we go back to Citi Field and it's split 1-1 versus being down 0-2. And a lot of people talk about how that game 3 game is such a pivotal game, which we ended up winning. We would have been up 2-1 versus being down 2-1. And I think it could have potentially have been a different series. But Kansas City was the team that was the first to go ahead and start this new pitching situation that we have going on. I remember Chris Young was starting the game. He was throwing 85, 86. He was very sneaky, but I'm like, all right, second time, third time through, we got him. And wait, they're taking him out in the fourth, fifth inning. What's going on? He's supposed to stay into the sixth or the seventh. He's only got 50 pitches. And then here come the arms. Here comes lefty velocity, righty velocity, lefty velocity. And it wasn't necessarily that it was power arms, it was different arms. So one of the things at that time, you would get in a groove, you get that starter the second, third time through, you start to get them. They bring the long man in, you start to get them that second time through, and now you just got to face the setup and maybe the closer. Well, here's Kansas City throwing 5, 6 arms out there, and you're just not getting into a rhythm. So credit where credit's due. They've helped shape the landscape of what this game looks like now today, and that was one of those things where offensively we got it going, but we couldn't advance. Once we were ready to knock out the starter, then boom, they unloaded everybody on us, and that was one of I think their advantage that they were able to utilize to help them win that year.
Curtis, I know we were told you got to go. Do you have to go? Can I ask you one more? If you have to go, I understand.
Let's do it. I'm good.
All right,
I'm hanging in.
I'm curious. 2 quickies. Were you watching the 2016 World Series Cubs Indians? Like Game 7?
I had a watch party at my house.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. When Rajay Davis hits the home run off of Aroldis Chapman, as a player, knowing the unlikeliness of Rajay Davis hitting a home run off of Aroldis Chapman, what's going through your head and like what's happening at that point?
That hand up in the air running around the bases with Rajay. I was like, oh my, he just did it. You know, Rajay swings a big bat too, so if he connects, it's going to go. And obviously, power versus power against Chapman. I'm like, oh, snap, he just did it. And then if you remember, as the game is going on.
No,
it was a little something different.
It might have been a little something, but I think I had some kids at the house, so it might have still been, oh, snap. Right? But if you remember, Jason Kipnis, Chicago kid, turns on a ball that I'm like, same thing. Oh, snap. He's just about to walk him off. He's not going to be able to come back home after this. But it was like, I think he got jammed or it was a foul ball or something like that. But all those emotions were rolling. And then a lot of my friends are Cubs fans. So as the game is getting situated, I got friends at my house and I see that they're antsy. I'm like, everything good? He goes, I got to go to Wrigleyville. I'm like, where are you going? He goes, if they win, I got to go be down there. And it was starting to hit me. I mean, people were calling me. Now, remember, you asked me the first question that I never got a chance to play for the Cubs.
Yeah.
People are calling me like I played for the Cubs. Like, can you believe this is happening? I'm like, I'm watching the same game you're watching, but I didn't play for the Cubs. Why are you calling me right now? I had people that went to, I never thought I would see this. I never thought all this. So it was just such a wild experience to see it unfold from Rajay almost doing it, bringing Cleveland that championship, to the turn and switch to Chicago finally winning it. And I'm just at home and I'm like, all right, I gotta get ready to get ready to enjoy the full-on offseason now that the season's over. But I think that's what makes baseball fun. I think that's what makes it exciting. Like, it's not just the Yankees every year. It's not just the Dodgers every year. You mentioned all these players and all these markets, and we have teams that can show up and do all these great things. So hopefully we can just continue to keep leaning in, because literally every team can have a chance. The Marlins beat the Cubs a few years ago in the playoffs, you know? So every team literally has a chance every year out there.
Curtis, you're the best. The commissioner's got to listen to you, because you got the best ideas I've heard for baseball. The commissioner, let's go. And I give the commissioner credit, even though I don't really like him. I think the rule changes have been good. I think the rule changes have benefited baseball, even though a lot of people were against them. So anyway, great stuff. The game is on TBS. Everybody watch the game on TBS tonight. Yankees and Guardians at 7:05 is the first game, or the first pitch at 7:05. So there you go. Hopefully the Guardians will kick the Yankees' ass. I don't want to lose to the Yankees. I'm sick of losing to the Yankees. Thank you, Curtis, man. You're awesome.
Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks for
Appreciate it,
joining
man.
us.
No problem. Thank y'all. Have a good one.